Emilia Perez. Oh, do I have a lot of things to say about this film. Now, I think I mentioned this before, but lately I've been getting into Oscars because they've been, now the movies that were nominated for Oscars are starting to come on streaming. But this one I could have watched even before the Oscars took place because I think it was released directly to Netflix. And this is a film that honestly I heard so many people saying, why is this film getting so many Oscar nominations? And here's my answer to that. Because it's very different, that's why. And now, is it a good film? I'd say yes. Is it deserving of the Oscar? Well, I'm going to get to that when I talk about the one that actually did win the Oscar, because I think that's a better film. This is a very unusual film because there is so many things in it that are just not really done in most Hollywood films these days. And it stars Zoe Kravitz, who's a pretty big star. I mean, being in Avatar, Guardians of the Galaxy, a lot of other films, and I think she recently directed a movie, now that I think about it. Did she direct that one? I don't know. I should have double checked my sources on that. But basically, the premise of Emilia Perez is about... Emilia Perez is not the main character of Emilia Perez. It's Zoe Kravitz's character, who is this lawyer who goes to this court case and manages to, get off somebody on by saying like the wife committed suicide when deep down she knows this guy killed his wife and stuff like that. And she has to sort of live in a world where the justice system gets used like this. So one day, she gets kidnapped by a cartel leader. And this cartel leader, he talks like a cartel leader. If you've seen any films that has a cartel leader, you know exactly how they talk. Yes, I am a cartel leader, and I do a lot of evil and terrible things. But here's the twist. This guy apparently wants to be a woman. So yes, he wants gender reassignment surgery. And... now, I haven't addressed this issue, but this film is pretty much in Spanish. Now, there is a lot of English spoken in it, and what I couldn't figure out is this film was marketed to a Spanish-speaking audience, or because it does take place in Mexico, and but I didn't really care, and I thought okay, but that does affect how I watch it because oftentimes, and I've said this before. And I think we all do this now is while we're watching a movie, we're often doing something else. Whether we're doing something on our phone, we're getting work, we're doing our taxes. We do this thing now while we're watching movies. It's something that's just kind of on in the background. And here's the thing about Emilia Perez is I've realized in order to give this movie justice and for me to even talk about it, I have to basically just sit down and watch it and read every subtitle and stuff like that. Not only is this in Spanish, which is very unusual for me to watch any movie from a foreign language that isn't dubbed, because Netflix did not have a dubbing option. I couldn't click a button and have them everybody speak in English all the time. And a lot of these actors in here, like Zoe Kravitz and Selena Gomez, who I haven't mentioned before, can speak English pretty well. So, yeah. Not only do we have this premise of a cartel leader who wants a gender reassignment surgery, it is a musical. Yes, this is a musical. Now, I did kind of know that going in on this, but I have to admit, when the first musical number happens, I was surprised. And I don't know if the promotional material really told you that this was going to be a musical, because I think we are accustomed to musicals being a certain way. Like, say, Wicked or something like that. And I'm going to be talking about Wicked here in a little bit, but I must say that, boy, Emilia Perez was not like a musical like, say, like Wicked. Whereas the musical numbers were done often with kind of low-key, like the film Dear Evan Hansen. But Dear Evan Hansen didn't really do this very well. Another musical that wasn't done very well was Joker, Folie à Deux. That was done incredibly badly. But here's the thing. Emilia Perez's musical numbers are done extremely well. They're often done by the characters singing their lines as they speak, but then there are often musical numbers that are done with crowds, and I don't know how they do the choreography of this, because there's often times in which the characters are just kind of walking in a crowd, and then the crowd will just kind of move in here, and the songs that are done are pretty incredibly good. And I kind of went like, okay, this has got my attention. And I went like, okay, I'm liking this thing. Now, I've heard that a lot of people, even in the transgender community, when I say transgender community, this is something like Prison, that I just know nothing about and I've really only seen in movies and have read and about it. And I've said before that I have really no right to talk about the transgender community, because it's something that I just don't really, know all that much about, because I have no personal experience with this. But I'm told that the transgender community does not like this film because it does show somebody receiving gender reassignment surgery so they can essentially go undercover and become a new person. Now, that I'm assuming that the gender reassignment surgery is to bring out the person that you already are, or that the person that, to actually see this done in such a manner, I have to admit, is somewhat disrespectful. But here's the thing. I think the film knows this and is sort of playing with this idea here. And to actually see this cartel leader who has this, like, I'm a cartel leader, I'm talking like this. And not only that, he's singing his lines. Yes, he sings lines like this in that kind of voice. And I'm not going to even try and replicate that, because they were singing Spanish and stuff like that, and I'm afraid I don't speak Spanish, so I couldn't really do a good impersonation of this. But but I was so surprised that they actually kind of went this direction of a singing cartel leader, and I kind of went like, wow, that's bold. So here's the thing. This cartel leader does get the gender reassignment surgery done, and he needs Zoe Kravitz to essentially set this up, because she's a lawyer and she can sort of figure out how this can be done very in a clandestine manner, and then how can essentially the cartel leader, who now assumes the identity of Emilia Perez, can suddenly become a new person. So she actually succeeds in this, and he gets the gender reassignment surgery, and then he manages to somehow fake his own death. But here's the thing, this cartel leader has like a wife and 2 kids. And then 4 years later, he realizes that, he misses his wife and 2 kids. And so he wants to, so he hires the lawyer back to essentially figure out a way that, that Emilia Perez can pretend to be the cousin of this cartel leader and have the wife and kids stay over at his place. And then this is where the film kind of gets weird, because the plot takes an odd direction. And I don't know how much I'm going to get into spoilers on this, but essentially, you actually see this cartel leader not only become a different person, but also work for social change. She starts to realize that, boy, I've harmed so many people throughout the years. I'm going to help out all the people that have disappeared because of cartel activities. And she starts a nonprofit organization to do this. Now, it's kind of interesting that even Zoe Kravitz's character knows that this organization is full of crap and is backed by people who are just as corrupt as this cartel leader guy is. And also, the wife here, played by Selena Gomez, I think I mentioned that before, wants to essentially get remarried, but Emilia Perez doesn't like this idea and gets extremely hostile and even puts on his cartel voice to warn her that you can't do that and stuff like that. And then it gets like, so the thing about this film, I think what this film is trying to say is that, can a person really ever change, is what I believe it's trying to say, because we see Emilia Perez, or this cartel leader, become Emilia Perez and start to do very interesting things, and even start to have a new love interest, and it looks like things are going pretty well. But when things don't go this person's way, they start to revert back to who they were. And I will have to say, since we're past the 9-minute mark at the end, where we see Emilia Perez being essentially venerated like a saint because of all of the stuff that this person has done, and I'm just kind of going like, okay, I guess maybe the whole system is, I think that what this film is trying to say is the entire system is corrupt, and how just things like this kind of happen, and it's like how did we even get to this point, is kind of maybe what this film is trying to say. I'm not sure, but I will say you need to see this film for yourself.